We're finally getting a sequel to one of the greatest fighting games ever, SNK's Garou Mark of the Wolves. This game was praised for its polished visual style, innovative mechanics, and continuing the story of Fatal Fury through the lens of a new generation. Ironically enough, SNK wasn't the only fighting game developer pushing its franchise forward in the late 90s. Namco was doing the same thing with Tekken 3, and Capcom was attempting to do the same thing with Street Fighter 3. In this video, I want to go over why SNK's new generation fighting game was able to succeed where Capcom failed, the similarities between both games, and how they left an indelible impact on fighting games. Most people think of SF3 fondly and with more praise than it received when it initially released back in 1997. This was due to improved versions being released by Capcom and the famous Evil Moment 37. In contrast, Mark of the Wolves was received very well when it was released in 1999, yet never received the same mainstream popularity of its rivals. I believe the biggest reasons for the difference in reception were the character roster, game feel and mechanics, and its perception. Let's start with the roster. Street Fighter 3 launched with 10 playable characters, not including Gil and Yang, 8 new and 2 returning characters being Ryu and Ken. The roster in terms of gameplay and design was all unique, ranging from Elena, a Kenyan princess specializing in capoeira, Necro, a Russian cyborg that has functions similar to Dawson and Blanka, Ibuki, a quick and agile ninja, Sean, a Brazilian cholo trained by Ken, Dudley, a British boxer, Oro, a one-armed hermit, Yang and Young, 2 kung fu martial artists from Hong Kong, the new protagonist and grappler from New York, Alex, and Gil, the boss character that was made playable on the console versions. People thought the roster was weird, felt alienating to fans of the franchise, and overall wasn't received very well. Even Capcom's own Akira Akiman Yasuda thought there was a lack of character regarding the roster and proposed adding Ryu to add familiarity. To rectify this, later versions of Street Fighter 3 would add Makoto, Remy, Chun-Li, Urien, Hugo, Q12, and Akuma to increase the roster's size and diversity, and bring back some more returning characters. Something to consider when it comes to the cast of vanilla Street Fighter 3 was that it originally was going to be a new IP called New Generation, which explains why they took such a stark departure when it came to that initial roster, since the game wasn't planned to be a Street Fighter game. As for Mark of the Wolves, its roster had 14 characters, 13 new and one returning character being Terry. Mark of the Wolves also has a unique roster because it contains more cohesion and familiarity, despite only having one returning character, because the new characters are relatives or students of older characters. There's Jae-hoon and Donghua, the sons of Kim Ko-hwan, Hotaru and Gotsu, siblings trained in Chinese martial arts, Kevin, a police officer on a mission to get revenge, Freeman, a criminal who lacks mercy and remorse, B. Jenny, the leader of a group of pirates, Tizok, a pro wrestler that wears a griffin mask, Marco Rodriguez, student of Ryo Sakazaki, Hokutomaru, a kid trained in the Shiranui ninja arts, Grant, a sorcerer that fights with his fists, Rock, the biological son of Geese that was adopted by Terry, and Kain, who runs Geese's organization and is Rock's uncle. Contrary to Street Fighter 3, Mark of the Wolves roster received high praise and positive reception from fans and critics. I think SNK did a great job of conveying previous fighters' legacy with the newer character designs and their playstyles. For instance, Rock is designed to have a playstyle similar to Terry, but some of his supers have the same color effect as Geese. Despite taking cues and concepts from both characters, he still comes off fresh, new, and unique. Where areas with someone like Sean, who is supposed to be a student of Ken, he comes off more as an inferior imitation due to him having similar moves, but they're just weaker. And even though Sean is the joke shoulder of the game, it still seems that they could have done more to convey the legacy of his master in his gameplay and design, other than making him a worse Shoto with a yellow gi. Mark of the Wolves, in my opinion, is superior for maintaining that sense of familiarity while simultaneously ensuring there's variety. especially when taking into account that SF3 again wasn't going to be SF3 in the first place. On to the gameplay. Both Street Fighter 3 and Mark the Wolves are ground-based 1v1 fighting games that take a more methodical and tactical approach to combat compared to their predecessors. For SF3, changes made to the gameplay included selectable supers, dashing, special canceling into super, universal overhead, removal of air block, high jump, and the iconic parry system. At the time, the fans disliked the change in gameplay due to its slower feel and less aggressive options. Around the time, Capcom fighting games gave players more explosive and aggressive options to play with and continued expanding what could be possible. The Alpha series was offering things like custom combos and air juggles and multiple level supers. So safe to say, people expected this highly anticipated sequel to continue to crank that dial up to 11. Which was the style at the time. The negative opinion wouldn't change until Japanese players in the competitive scene and Evil Moment 37 would showcase what SF3 truly had to offer. In the case of Mark of the Wolves, its gameplay received praise for the introduction of new and unique mechanics such as feint cancels, guard cancel, just defense, evasion attack, breakable moves, and the top system. The top system defined how the game plays, just like SF3's EX moves and parry system. Both have a mechanic that offers a new option when it comes to defense, a way to enhance / modify the properties of special moves, and each character can utilize multiple supers. They also have a selectable option when picking your character. We know in SF3 that would be which super you choose to go into the fight with. Be it you go with one that gives you more bar but gives you less damage, one that might have more utility but less meter, or one that's hard to combo into but can give you a lot of damage. With Mark of the Wolves, the top system, you can choose which third of the life bar you want to have the top system active. Players may want to save it for comebacks by putting it at the end and taking advantage of the 1.75 damage boost that you get, or you can put it in the front and come out the gate with high damage but a smaller damage boost, or you can keep it in the middle to kind of have a more consistent damage throughout the fight overall. I think both games push to do something innovative, not only for their respective franchises but the fighting game genre as a whole. How do both games hold up 25 plus years later? For SF3, far better than its initial release thanks to its revisions and pushing the limits of what a sprite-based animation can do. Going from a game that was disregarded due to changes in the industry and straying from traditional gameplay to being one of the most beloved and fondly remembered in its franchise and giving us the most iconic moment in all of fighting games. As for Mark of the Wolves, it's regarded as one of the best 2D fighters ever made and is still recognized for how influential its visual style, mechanics, and character-driven narrative were for its time. Ironically enough, described as SNK's take on SF3 due to their similarities. In summary, both of these games pushed the boundaries of the genre and defied what was conventional at the time. In SF3's case, it took multiple iterations and an iconic moment to achieve the respect and notoriety it has today. Although for Mark of the Wolves, it was able to execute where its competitor could not straight out the gate, but wouldn't reach that same cult-like popularity due to changes in the genre and the industry. Now both games have their own successors that continue to push their franchises forward. And for Capcom, that would be Street Fighter 6, and SNK, that would be City of the Wolves. Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. If you have anything you want to add or you disagree with me, let me know in the comments, and thank you, and see you in the next video. Peace.